Hello everybody, welcome back to the Stikbot channel. And today's video, because I'm still out of town and can't really do much, I'm finally going to be showing you guys some test animations, because this is the perfect opportunity to get these out of my camera roll. I went back and checked, and the earliest animation we have here is from June of 22, and you'll see how dated these are. But without further ado, let's just get into these test animations. This is an Insector walk cycle test. I'm not sure what the point is. I think it was just to see how well I could do with limitations of a Stikbot with 4 arms. I honestly don't know. This was a run cycle turned into like handstand push-ups or something. I cannot remember why I did some of these, I'm gonna be completely honest. This one was a conversational test. This was meant to be just like casual Stikbots just chilling with each other. Keep in mind, this was long before I ever did facial animations, so for what it's worth, I think this one is very alright, minus the camera shake and light flicker. This one is just Stikbots getting ready to fight each other. I think, I was gonna do a fight scene after this, but then I gave up. This was either gonna be a run or walk cycle test, but when it failed miserably, I turned it into a speed walking test, and that's, when you put it in that perspective, it's fine. And the fact that I used Grim for that is pretty much irrelevant. I think I just enjoyed animating with it. The figure is just nice. I think that's the only reason. Absolutely nothing crazy here, just a simple gun recoil test. This was an easing in and out style test where, you know, the further in he goes, the more he slows down, and then just it turns into like a walk cycle. It's kind of hard to mess that one up, so I'll give myself props for that. This was meant to be a more casual speed walk test, but when it ended up being too fast, I just slowed the frame rate down. And this was going to be a take 2 of sorts, but when the Stikbot fell over, I gave up, which is actually a common theme in this video. This is a Stikbot spinning around and picking up speed test, a Clickbot run cycle test that looks absolutely horrendous, and another Clickbot run cycle test that looks absolutely horrendous. Oh, and don't forget this Clickbot run cycle turned Naruto run that looks absolutely horrendous. This is a weird case. This is supposed to be a Stikbot dodging punches, then doing like a weird backflip thing into a fighting position, and I gotta be honest, I like this one. There's just something clean about it. This is a Stikbot pulling out a gun test. It's not quite squash and stretch, but it's like the motion blur thing where the arm shouldn't move the way it does, but it looks kind of natural in motion. I mean, it doesn't look natural in the test because it sucks, but it would look natural if I was good at animating. A Clickbot falling from a great height, turning into a roll, turning into a run that looks really, really janky. I'm still not used to animating Clickbots at this point. I think this was a test to do snappy, quick movements that failed miserably, but at least I tried. This was a test for, like, I guess you could say recoil in animation. I kind of have that figured out now. I can use it pretty decently, but back then I did not know what I was doing. Now we're getting into the tests after I got Stop Motion Studio Pro, where I'm starting to figure things out, and I'm kind of becoming more the animator I am now. Still not good, but slightly better. This was just a test to see if I could like do drawn on blur. I mean, it looks fine. It's kind of whatever. Another drawn on blur test. It's really dragged down by the light flicker, which I hadn't gotten figured out yet. This is the first of many facial animation tests. It's barely even a test. I made it in like 2 seconds just to see if I understood the software pretty much. Hey y'all. That was the first real facial animation test. If you follow me on TikTok or watch the January TikTok compilation, then you've seen that. If you're wondering why the audio was so bad, it was because it was recorded in Stop Motion Studio, and the Stop Motion Studio microphone is for some reason really terrible. This is a like punching speed test, nothing crazy here. This was to test out masking my rig, and it's, yeah, you can kind of see how janky it is. I don't need to explain that one. This is like a blur and speed sort of test, and it actually looks pretty good, but there are 3 variations of this. There's this one. This is the normal version with the blur on the sword and stuff. This version with no blur. And then this version with blur, but there's a pause before he falls over. That was a suggestion by that channel with everything, I think. This is such a weird case. It's going to take some explaining. So I think this was A camera angle test, B, a masking the rig test, and C, adding effects in like post test. It looked really bad because it's literally 4 frames. but like when I put it all together, it actually doesn't look too bad, which is really, really, really weird. And here's another one that takes some explaining. So you know how the difference between a run and a walk is that single, or not single, but that frame, or that the part where you're in the air, essentially. Well, that's what I was trying to do here. You know, just try to, I have my rig there. You can see it's very, very terribly masked. But I was supposed to do the thing where he's in the air. Yeah, and I failed miserably because it literally just looks like he's skipping, because I think he's in the air for like one frame. Goose's lightning test. This was a potential thing to do because obviously I didn't want to animate faces every single video, and I still don't. I've only done it like 3 times, I think. And this was a potential solution to that, where I just do little eyelid sort of drawings over the pre-existing face. And it kind of fell through, but at least it looks kind of neat. This was a test to see how the new wall appeared on camera, and you can really see how desperately I need to fix the light flicker. A test of Goose taking off, which also works as a rig masking test, and a version of that, but with lightning effects. This is a facial animation test. I mean, I kind of said it there, but that was a facial animation test. Rick Salentina, green Stikbot, welcome to. That was a facial animation test I did for the proto set video, which was like the first video with the facial animations, yada yada. Rick Salentina, green Stikbot, welcome to. Now, I sent that in the community server as like a work in progress, and someone suggested that I change something, and then I changed it, and like it looked better, but I can't remember what that change was, so here's the changed version. This is an interesting one. It is the proto set video, but it's essentially what it looked like without the facial animation. The way I do it is I take a picture of the Stikbots with their faces, so that way I can trace over the eyes and get the general shape of how the eyes should look. Same with where the mouth should be, stuff like that. And then I animate the faces like over that, if you get what I'm saying. It's a very, very interesting case, and I kind of had that saved in my phone, and I figured I'd shove it in this video and show you guys what the videos look like without the facial animation, for anyone wondering, you know, in the future. Maybe if I do more, maybe if I don't, I don't know. Maybe this is the last video you ever see from me. I'm trailing off, aren't I? This is a Rick flying and yet another masking test, and it also worked as a set test because this is the first animation, I think, with the current Me and the Boys set. This was going to be some sort of walking with the magnets test, but the magnet came off of his cup, so I gave up. So this is my scene in the Green Stikbot collab, but without the effects, essentially. That was a very effect-heavy video. I did a lot of, like, that was a lot of firsts for me. I didn't put that much, like, first blood effects. I kind of refined Goose's lightning effects. The link will be in the description, yada yada. But this is actually what it looked like without the effects, and wow. It somehow looks worse. So this is that Stikbot edit, and each of the scenes in that video were supposed to have animated faces or just like drawn on faces, but I didn't do any sort of tracking on the face, and because it's so slow, I could not line up the face with the head properly, so I just gave up. That was as far as I got. This is the first take of the Grimace Shake video. What happened was I bumped my camera, and Green Stikbot was slowly falling over in the background, which you can see, so we just scrapped that take. And here's some work in progress stuff of the Grimace Shake video. Here you can see in the one shot that the Grimace juice just isn't shaded, then you cut away and then the Grimace juice is just gone. Here is yet another interesting case. So essentially the Grimace juice was already shaded, but after I had exported the video and I was looking at it in post as I was doing the voiceover, I realized it looked garbage. So this was like the first time I've ever had something in the voice acting stage pretty much completed, and I went back into Stop Motion Studio and decided to re-edit the shading on the Grimace juice, which is a very good precedent. If you're not willing to go back and change something that you know is bad, then you should do that. But that's all of the test animation and work in progress stuff I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you are interested in joining my Discord server or following any of my socials, those links will of course be in the description, along with any of the videos I mentioned in this video. Keep on honking my goose name sandwiches, and I'll see y'all later. Peace out.